values on these hasn't changed. They have been working for the middle class. They've been doing all they can to make sure prices come down. They're protecting reproductive care.
So it makes me want to ask you, do you think that Biden's done everything right?
Watch Joe Biden and Kamala Harris pick those pieces up. And I think for all of us, we make decisions, we reanalyze afterwards. I think the thing that drew me to this ticket, and I think what the vice president's talking about is, well, look, I don't know if any of us do everything right, but I can tell you he's done everything in the best interest of the American public. He's listened to what the public did. He's asked for answers, and I think, and reevaluated afterwards. And I think if your values and the judgments you're making and the ethical decisions you're making.
What happens when a state governor turns a political speech into something you'd hear at a comedy roast? Governor Tim Walz didn't just go after Donald Trump, he hilariously dismantled him point by point, turning Trump's failures into viral punchlines. But the best part? Trump's chaotic reply. You won't believe how this showdown spirals out of control. Before we move on, I'd like to ask you a small favor. If you appreciate this content, please take a second to like this video and subscribe to the channel. Over 98% of you watch the videos without subscribing. It costs you nothing, but it makes a huge difference to us. So, did you click the subscribe button? Great. Thank you so much. Now back to the video.
President Harris was asked this week on The View if she would have done anything differently than President Biden that he has done in the past 4 years. And she said, quote, "There is not a thing that comes to mind."
Donald Trump was president and when Joe Biden was there. And I watched Donald Trump dismiss the COVID pandemic. I watched him drive an economy into the ground.
Governor Tim Walz's speech started like any other state address. Some updates here, a few local topics there. But somewhere along the way, the gloves came off and suddenly it felt less like a speech and more like open mic night at a comedy club. No one expected it, especially not Donald Trump. Walz transformed what could have been an uneventful moment into a scathing, laugh-out-loud takedown that had everyone in the room, and eventually everyone online, buzzing. The brilliance of Walz's approach wasn't just in calling out Trump. No, he went for something much sharper, turning Trump's image as a self-proclaimed business genius into a comedy routine. At one point, Walz joked, "I'm surprised we're not in a Trump hotel, because if there's anyone who knows how to lose money, it's Donald." The crowd erupted, the line cutting like a knife through Trump's carefully curated brand.
And I think if your values and the judgments you're making and the ethical decisions you're making, he's done that. And I, again, have seen the difference that it made, especially during the COVID pandemic, of what it looks like to have that ethical, visionary leadership versus someone who's incredibly self-centered. Well, look, I don't know if any of us do everything right, but I can tell you he's done everything in the best interest of the American public. He's listened to what the public did. He's asked for answers, and I think, and reevaluated afterwards.
I want to go back to something you said on Tuesday. You said, "I think all of us know the Electoral College needs to go." But the campaign came out later that night, and they said that's not their stance.
Yeah. Well, it's not the campaign's position. And the point I'm trying to make is that there's folks that feel every vote must count in every state.
And Walz didn't stop there. He aimed at Trump's pandemic response, sarcastically suggesting that injecting bleach into one's veins might come with a Trump-branded syringe. The humor wasn't random, it was strategic. Walz used it to simplify the chaos of the Trump years into digestible and memorable gags. Failed casinos, lawsuits, bankruptcies, and bizarre policy moments, everything was fair game. And the audience? They loved it. Rows of people erupted in laughter, some even rising to their feet mid-speech.
Their position and my position is to make sure that everybody understands their vote, no matter what state they're in, matters.
So that's something that you and Vice President Harris disagree on?
I have spoken about it in the past, that she's been very clear on this. I think some of folks feel that's not the case. Our campaign does that, and the point I'm saying is, I'm in 5 states in 2 days. We're out there making the case that the campaign's position is clear, that that's not their position.
So how do you reach those voters? What do you say to those voters who may blame her for the economy right now?
Yeah, folks in the middle. Well, we talk to them about what are the policies that are going to make a difference.
The shots at Trump's record didn't just land, they stuck, and the energy in the room made sure of it. There's a reason humor works so well in political critique. Psychologists say it helps audiences process heavy topics by easing emotional resistance. Instead of drowning people in policy jargon, Walz offered bite-sized insights with a comedic punch. And that's why, within hours, clips of the speech spread like wildfire. people weren't just talking about the humor, they were engaging with his critiques. Trump's failures weren't just policy points anymore, they became the punchlines of a national conversation. But if the laughing crowd stung Trump, just wait until we get into how the man himself reacted. Let's just say, subtlety isn't his strong suit. Donald Trump isn't exactly known for staying quiet when someone criticizes him, and after Governor Walz's viral speech, his response didn't disappoint, in the worst way possible. Instead of addressing Walz's sharp critiques about his policies and business failures, Trump's team went low, throwing out bizarre personal attacks that managed to backfire almost immediately. And let's just say, it didn't make them look good. One of the strangest jabs came in the form of a claim about Walz's wife. Trump's team accused her of savoring the fumes of the Minneapolis riots, which honestly sounds more like the plot of a bad political thriller than a real point. Most people had the same reaction, confusion mixed with disbelief. Was this their attempt at a clapback? A personal dig so disconnected from the actual issues at hand, it quickly became a punchline on its own. Then, there was the nickname. Trump's team referred to Walz as Tim Jazz Hands Walz, which might have had some sting if it didn't feel like a recycled playground insult. It wasn't clever, it wasn't relevant, and, worse for Trump, it wasn't effective. Social media users instantly turned it into a joke. Memes popped up everywhere, turning jazz hands into a comedic anthem for Walz supporters. And the fumes comment? That turned into an internet sensation, with viral parodies of Walz supposedly enjoying flames while sipping coffee. The response from Trump's camp, instead of silencing Walz, accidentally handed him the spotlight. But this isn't anything new for Trump. His go-to strategy, distract with drama and avoid real issues, has a history of blowing up. Research shows that when he leans on personal attacks instead of policy rebuttals, it often reinforces his critics' points. That's exactly what happened here. Walz came off as focused, funny, and sharp, while Trump's erratic counterattack seemed desperate. Instead of cooling things down, Trump's chaotic response made Walz's speech bigger. The roasting got more views, more memes, more buzz. And suddenly people began asking, could this moment propel Walz onto the national stage? Governor Walz didn't just fire off a few jokes, he crafted a moment that skillfully blended humor and policy to make a lasting impact. By highlighting his achievements, like free school meals and lower insulin costs, he positioned himself as a leader who delivers results while exposing the chaos of Trump's leadership. The approach wasn't just funny, it was politically sharp, leaving voters with a clear contrast. Could this be the new strategy for taking on figures like Trump? Humor cuts through noise, and Walz proved it could spark real conversations. If this is his warm-up act, the national stage might be next.